We can't do everything the same, but we may have a different journey, but we all have the same destination.
One thing I would really love to hear from you now as experts is the market.
Investing in real estate anywhere, in my opinion, doesn't compare to here. With regards to the real estate, I'll be very, very honest with you. I don't think anyone should be saying what we think is going to happen in 3 or 4 years' time, especially now. We all know what's going on in the Middle East. But one thing I would say is, I'm a huge believer in the government here, and the people that back and run and lead this country. If I can believe in Sheikh Mohammed, then we've seen what he's done over the last 25 years. I believe he'll continue that. His son also. So I think the future is very bright here because of the leaders of the country. Economically, I don't know what's going to happen, to be very honest. But if we can follow the fundamentals, especially within the developer sales realm, if we can buy with a good developer, which has a great track record with regards to quality of finishing on time, and then, as Lasse just mentioned, the location is key. If we can just follow those 3 fundamentals, I think we're eliminating as much risk as possible. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, the market's going to continue like this for the next 3 or 4 years, because honestly, we don't know what's going on. But I know it will recover, and the reason it will recover is because the leaders of this country.
For me, I think no place in the world is perfect. But what I see at the moment is that I see 2 parts. So I think one way is that we have the World Cup at the moment. We have the conflict going on, starts back in 28th of February. But I also hear on the other hand that all the hedge fund and family offices from UK and stuff, they are setting up, their companies under the English common law in the financial district of Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So I kind of see 2 kind of things. And I always been, advised to say, where the money is going, it's always important to be a part of that. The other thing that I will add to this is that where can you in the world find a 2030 or 2040 urban master plan and look into how, this area will evolve? This is quite unique for Abu Dhabi and Dubai also.
Yeah. So you see some of if we could talk a bit about the islands in Abu Dhabi, where I would like to hear your thoughts now also, because you were a bit skeptical now, not skeptical, but you're very resistant in it, with saying everything is going to blow up necessarily. From what I've heard, the amount of money being put into these places are extreme. It's numbers that I've never really heard before. What are your view on that? And also, I would love to hear your thoughts on it, Lasse, when you see that amount of wealth, and you also see some of the wealthiest people in the world right now moving their wealth down there. What is your thoughts on that opportunity now?
The opportunity is great. We know that. We try to portray that to our clients on a daily basis. I'm not pessimistic at all. I know maybe you thought I was, with the comment I made earlier. Look, for families, I don't think there's anywhere better in the world to live.
Why is that?
Many reasons. The lifestyle is incredible, the safety, the schooling, the hospitals. Obviously, if you can relocate from, let's say, the US, UK, anywhere in Europe to here with the same job, the same lifestyle, to not pay taxes and to live, with this lifestyle on a daily basis, I don't think you can compare it to anywhere. What they're building in Abu Dhabi at the moment, we know what's coming, obviously. We know what's coming in 3 or 4 years' time. There's nothing like it. I think it will be, you'll have Yas Island, which could be the entertainment capital, maybe of the world one day. You have the Saadiyat Cultural District, which will be the most desirable luxury location to live in the Middle East, for sure. And then you have other places such as Hudayriyat Island, which is, for lifestyle, again, uncomparable for families. For me, and I know you, I don't think there'll be many better places on earth to live in 5 to 10 years.
Let's can you talk a bit about everyone knows about Dubai. I feel in the Middle East that everyone is talking about Dubai. Obviously, from the other, but why is it that you see such a big opportunity in Abu Dhabi, and why does more people not? I lived in Dubai. Yes. I didn't know what was going on in Abu Dhabi. What's going on there?
When we look into, Dubai is 55 years old. And when you look into Dubai, back in 2002, you was allowed for a foreigner from outside Dubai. And with all due respect, I think UAE's looked into Dubai as a project. Say, will this succeed or not? And everybody knows about Dubai, as you said now. And Dubai was some kind of, project. And the big brother, the capital of UAE, said, wow, we saw that Dubai is a success. back in 2019, they allowed people from outside Abu Dhabi to be a part of that. So they are 17 years behind. After they saw, wow, Dubai was a success, also the big brother wanted to be a part of that now. But two things I wanted to add where we find it very unique with Abu Dhabi is that only 1/5 of the projects being launched is happening in Abu Dhabi compared to, I think it's 125,000 off-plan units last year in Dubai compared to 25,000 or 20,000 in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, so when you add it up, that you'll have 20,000 units compared to 125,000 units in Dubai. And every time there's a new company like Disney and other places, they are choosing Abu Dhabi. And the population increase in both areas is 204,000 last year and 280,000 in Abu Dhabi. So when you add up the numbers and you have so many natural islands compared to Dubai and all of these unique things with Saadiyat and other, I think the sweet spot is huge here, not only to Dubai, but if you look into the square foot price compared to Singapore and Hong Kong, you buy still for 1/3 or half of the price. Now we talked about Marbella. When I have clients there, Lasse, we only own the half part of the house. Or is that the whole house? This is because I look into the square foot price. It's half of the price or 1/3 in Abu Dhabi at the moment. And I can speak a long time about it. But the last thing I wanted to add is that I hear a lot of clients say, we own something in Marbella. We're curious about Bali. And we have to be there because of our families. The sweet spot where you can reach so many destinations in Abu Dhabi and Dubai in 4 to 6 hours is really a sweet spot. Last one I want to add. I even bought there by myself in Abu Dhabi. And I also think when I go with my investors, toe to toe, that I also think shows something about my own belief.
Yeah. So you literally have skin in the game.
Yeah, and Victor can tell that better than me, but without saying too much, I think also maybe Victor is interested to buy almost being a neighbor to me and some other guys at the team.
Yeah, we tend to put our money where our mouth is. So everyone's...
That's actually a big one, I think. So you actually invest.
Yeah. If we believe in something, why not? You know, investment purpose, but also, you never know. One day, end use, we could all be living down the same street. We're big believers in Abu Dhabi. Yeah. Recently, that's where we've been buying ourselves. Yeah. We'll continue to do that.
Yeah. So one thing I also really wanted to know is you told me about this lesson. Like it's the environment. Like you said, if people are looking for something in like Bali or something, you actually have islands out there looking like you don't see that in Dubai, for instance, in the same way. Obviously, still have nice beaches in that, but like, can you tell a bit about like the opportunities there, like the environment out there?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So if you look into Dubai, you have 30 kilometers of natural coastline, and you have added 300 kilometers man-made. When you go to Abu Dhabi, you have more than 700 kilometers of natural coastline. And if you want to kind of look into the things, is that even one of the beaches in Saadiyat Beach is in top 50 for one of the most beautiful beaches. So when I have a conversation with people from Denmark, say, Lasse, on this shitty January, we want a guarantee for good weather. Where is the closest place from Denmark in January? Where should we go? Say, no, you don't go to Bali. You go to this island called Saadiyat Island in Abu Dhabi. 6 hours in a plane. You have a top 50 beach there. So many people is not aware about that. And that is a sweet spot for so many people in the future. This is kind of when London or New York was built for 250 years ago. We are a part of legacy. I think there's a understanding that Dubai and Abu Dhabi is maybe about flashy cars and flashy things. But what we're really building here is legacy. This is kind of New York for 250 years ago. Dubai is only 54 years old. Where can you buy it directly from a developer with us in Four Seasons or Mandarin Oriental? This is happening right now in UAE.
So it's one you actually see as one of the biggest opportunities.
Yeah, I won't go into too much detail because it will bore you, but they're two very different places, two different projects completely. Dubai is a brand; it's a big marketing machine, which is incredible. It's succeeded amazingly.
Yeah,
Abu Dhabi aren't necessarily too interested in being a brand or a marketing machine at all. So
what are they interested in then?
Well, they have the money. They have the money already. They don't necessarily need, they want to create an incredible place for, eventually it will generate, lots of income for the country, for the city. But for now, they're more happy to sort of slip under the radar There's maybe 4 or 5 big developers in Abu Dhabi that control the whole market. There's actually 2, let's say 5 in general. Yeah, so obviously the 2 huge competitors, you've got Modon, you have Aldar. They're the 2 largest developers in, I would say, probably in the region. They hold the largest land banks in Abu Dhabi as well. It's monopolized, I would say. They build master communities only. They don't build one-off towers, let's say, which is very different to Dubai. You'll see lots of that going on. They're very wealthy companies that don't necessarily need to get their name out there that quickly in order to make sales. They sell out within a day anyway, but it's a huge contrast to Dubai.
I think to add to this is I see a lot of clients maybe not want to have their name out. They want to be very private. I see a lot of high net people want to be very private, but they want the best of the best. When we talk about schools, lifestyle, security, and all of these things, it ticks all the boxes, of course, in Dubai, but Abu Dhabi is really about quietness, easy, amazing lifestyle, easy access to everything.
Okay. So that's actually one of the questions that I really wanted to ask about when we go in and talk about is high net worth individuals, because obviously the first thing you hear, oh, go to Dubai. But what I've seen also happen in Europe, most people don't necessarily want to be associated with like Lambos, quick lifestyle, all this fast life pacing, where you actually say that for wealthy people, you see some of these developers, they don't need the money right now. So what they are trying to do, what I'm hearing you say between the lines, is they're actually trying to attract maybe like the more calm wealth, like the more, yeah. Is that what you're basically?
I mean, yeah, unofficially, but you know, from the outside, that's how it looks to me. If you visit Abu Dhabi even today, it's a much quieter city. Some people find it more boring. You know, it might not be for them. I think that will change over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, because when you look into it, Lasse, I wonder, the best school possible in Abu Dhabi. There's not so many schools. Hey, I want to live on Saadiyat Island, but Noble Residences, Guggenheim, the museum, is not open yet. I'm a big believer the best spot when it comes to everything, Saadiyat Island, in 2 or 3 years, I think there will be the most amount of billionaires living there in UAE. But we are still ahead of time. When will they move in, Lasse and Victor? They will move in 1 to 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
But we see a lot of like wealth also moving also from the UK and the US. Like they were number 1 for many years now. We see this in Middle East actually attracting the most amount of millionaires.
Yeah, you're talking about the Henley report. And it is correct that the highest migration, Victor can also add to this, of course, from the UK perspective. But it is the migration has been huge to UAE. I can never tell about the future. As Victor said, we are a strong believer about the fundamentals. The royal family is kind of an eye height of us. Everybody here is having a mindset of being an Emirati to live here.
You don't necessarily want the flashy things and all. You would definitely prefer, like, which one of the islands would you prefer? Because obviously all of the islands seems like great. We have Yas and I can't even pronounce it. I have to learn, I think, but from the report. So still struggling a bit, but like you see some is entertainment, some is like for billionaires, some is for like more family oriented. So would you say what do you believe is the thought behind this? Because I don't really see anything in the world, like even if you go to Dubai, you don't have it necessarily like structured like that way. So you can move 30 minutes, then you go over there, 30 minutes you go over there, 30 minutes you go over there. Like, what do you think?
Well, first of all, they've built it from scratch. They've been given a blank canvas and they can do whatever they want because they have the money to do so. So they've planned it this way. Obviously, you have, like I said, the entertainment island, which is Yas Island. This is where the Formula One is currently held. Disney is coming. I'm hearing whispers of casinos maybe one day. You know, this is also an amazing holiday destination, but people are now living there full time as well. So it offers a mix of everything. And then, you have Saadiyat, which we've previously mentioned. That's super high end. It's a cultural district. You have the Louvre Museum there. I think they paid 500 million euros just for the name to be put on the door. So yeah, we have that. And then we have Hudayriyat, which we've sold lots of this year. That for me is probably your best value on your most amazing payment plans. This is where Lasse recently bought. You have a couple of amazing golf courses. You have, is it 16 kilometers of beaches? Is it?
Yeah, approximately.
amazing place to live. You'll have UK schools, US schools. I think you have a Swiss school going there as well. Top hotels, top hospitals. That's a destination on its own. That's just one island.
And to put into perspective, is quite easy. So when you have Yas Island, that is where you also are kind of close by. You don't hear the noise, but you also have the highway 1.5 hours from downtown Dubai. You access Yas Island. From Yas Island, you have 12 minutes to the airport. From Yas Island, you drive over a very beautiful island called Fahid Island, and 22 minutes later, you are in the cultural district. From both of the islands, you can drive 25 minutes and you'll be in Saadiyat, in Hudayriyat Island, where I've bought. And in the middle is the financial district. So when I bought this townhouse, I think I'll never be home. When I go up in the morning, I'll go to the clubhouse, do some business, be on jet skis and having fun. In the weekends, when and if hopefully I have some kids one day, we can go on a Saturday and have fun in the Disney. And my girlfriend, we want to go out to have a glass of wine and be cultural. We can 20 minutes later be in the cultural district. I will never be home when I have this townhouse ready. It's so unique setup.
We're very spoiled here, living here. Even now, living in Dubai, we're so active. There isn't a minute that goes by where you're not offered to go out for lunch, dinner, breakfast, down to the beach. I mean, it's very hot at the moment. Obviously, we're in peak summer season. Even at the weekend, I have a family. I'm taking my little girl to Warner Brothers in Abu Dhabi, which is a theme park. It's completely indoor, fully air conditioned. You know, where else in the world can you do that?
And in the day, I think everybody wants to buy back time. But I see one day here is like 5 days in Denmark. The amount of people that you meet and the experience that you have here is kind of one day is kind of a week in Denmark. So I think for legacy, if you want to reach your goals, easy lifestyle, of course, we work a lot. But if you are willing to do that, there are opportunities in UAE.
In terms of business opportunities, like in the future, also if you're obviously a man or female or whatever, and you are a high net worth individual, one of the most important things is your network. And obviously for me, I could see, let's say that you have a family that he wants to move his family, for instance, from the UK or Marbella, and he wants to move down here. One of the things he might be losing is like his network and people that knows. Like, what do you see the opportunities being in terms of building out this network again?
I think the transition would be much easier than you can imagine. As you mentioned, Modon, you know, they actually own the whole of La Zagaleta. They own the whole master community there. They've also purchased a very large plot of land in Sota Grande. And I think they have a huge interest in Valderrama golf course as well, down in southern Spain, which unofficially, I've heard that Valderrama 2.0 will be coming to Abu Dhabi on Hudayriyat Island. So that's the next golf course they'll be launching. They'll probably tell me off for mentioning this because it's not confirmed, but this is what I've heard. Like I said to you earlier, you know, the transition for me coming from London to here was super easy because, you know, you see a lot of like-minded people that are doing exactly the same thing. And I think you're going to see this migration from Marbella also to here, to Abu Dhabi specifically. So with, you know, answer to your question, it will naturally happen. The migration is already happening. We're already seeing lots of buyers from Marbella coming here anyway, buying for 3 or 4 years' time. You know, people are preparing for the future. So I don't think there'll be much problem there at all.
You said the migration would be easy. Obviously, for instance, one thing, I want family as well in the future, and I've always thought about Spain and Marbella, obviously because you have the Scandinavian network and like it's easy for them to transition, so you still get the Danish values, but at the same time we still have like the big mind, big thinking. So would you say the same opportunity right now presents itself?
I can only speak for the Danish DNA. When I have the Danish clients coming to me, they say, wow, Lasse, we have to understand a new way to have a setup with our families. We want to be a part of Dubai and Abu Dhabi 10 months a year. The schools has adapted to that. So you're kind of having a lifestyle living in UAE where you will have maybe a holiday home in Essex or in Marbella. So I see a lot of Danish people say, hey, when it's too hot, we can still go away because there is 2 months away from schools and you can have a holiday home. I see the Danish people will say, hey, we will embrace this lifestyle on a 10-month basis with our children, or we will start to have it as a holiday home. I think the modern family in the future is far more adaptable to living 2 or 3 different places. And UAE have been forward thinking that they have allowed people to have a longer vacation in July and August when it's very hot. So they can go back to get the best from Denmark, which is the lifestyle in Blokhus and Nordsjælland, where all the beautiful beaches are. I think you have the best of the best. You just have to be adaptable for this future lifestyle.
One thing I'm very curious actually about is like, obviously when you have people, when you reach a certain threshold of money, the two things that you have going, it's time, of course, time back, but it's also longevity. That's one thing that we see in the hospitality niche, like, but the biggest part is like longevity, resource, and build and all this. Like in terms of longevity, opportunities and all this, that's might be one of the biggest reasons to move somewhere. For me, instantly in the future, I know I'll have loads of money, but one thing I want is for my kids to, of course, they need to be safe. But also longevity, I want it to be like, for instance, in the US, can't buy something from the store without risking it being filled up with all sorts of shit. So like in terms of like food quality, quality of living, all this longevity, really increasing your lifespan and all that, that's something that's huge in Europe. You also see now, obviously also in the US, but is that something that you also, the opportunity to get like?
For sure. Yeah. Education for me is top. There's already some amazing schools here in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi, but I know, we both know, there's many fantastic British schools coming to Abu Dhabi. For example, you have a Harrow School opening here in Dubai this year. You have a Brighton College, you have a Repton College, you have King's Wimbledon. There's many of those coming to Abu Dhabi as well. So for me, that's a priority on my list. I want to give my child the best education possible. I had that growing up, so I wouldn't want any different. So that's key. When it comes to, you know, the quality of the produce of the food is good. It's very good. I'm not going to say it's better than what you'd get in Spain, or I've never been to Denmark, but I can imagine it's great. But it's still, it's of a good level. Safety is top. I think Abu Dhabi is the most safe city in the world, 3 years running. I think Dubai's in the top 3 for the last 10 years as well. So we've got no issues with that. Everything else on top of that for me is a bonus. One of the big things for me growing up in Marbella was, I don't think there was much future there for me as a teenager and onwards. I think a lot of people grow up there. It's a great place to live, amazing lifestyle. But after that, I think you're very limited.
How so?
Well, I don't think the work opportunity is there in Marbella. I think you're not capped, but let's say there's less opportunity. There is opportunity here for absolutely everyone in every single industry. I've never been anywhere in my life where if you come here and you work hard, you get rewarded so much as this place. And that is a fact. You can't argue that. We're proven, you know, it's a proven fact.
You know, weekly or monthly, when we hear new things going to be set up in UAE and Abu Dhabi mainly at the moment, where in the world are you having an information about, wow, now a Disney will be set up on Yas Island. Now the Spare from Las Vegas a month after will be set up on Yas Island. The amount of companies and these things which are going to be set up is really special. On Hudayriyat Island, everything has to be the biggest. You have the biggest wave made by, you know, manpower. You have the velodrome, which have a license to have the world championship. So everything is just about having the best and the biggest in a very polite way. Why not be a part of it?
Can you talk a bit about more of the longevity part? Because obviously we have one island basically focusing on like longevity and all this. Can you talk a bit about the opportunities there?
Yeah. First and foremost, when I'm traveling around, one thing comes to my mind is when I, get out of the airplane, I feel the energy is very special in Dubai and UAE in general. When I see people around in UAE, I think every person, with all respect, even if they are as young as me, as 42 or older or younger, everybody is focused about their health as a temple. When I was in America for a year ago, with all respect, I see a lot of fat people. They are lovely people, but in the way we treat ourselves in UAE is next level. And added to that, as Victor said, the best food, the best schools, the hedge funds coming there. When we have all these money coming here, everything that follows. And one of these things which is huge for the future is, of course, wellness. So I think automatically, just being the part, everything will be in order. Now we had, I think, 4 seasons where you can buy townhouses and villas and apartments for a couple of months ago. He was still able to do it. But who has been the designer of the tennis courts? Roger Federer. So all these people are here to make this wellness style, on the highest level.
I think one last question I wanted to ask you here. If you were to try and describe for a buyer to come here, like let's say that you are worth 10 million euro, how would you guide someone who might hear about this, but they don't really understand it to a level they understand? Because we have a certain amount of wealth, you want secure places to invest it, of course, but can you try and explain to me, like, why do you believe that it is such a great opportunity right now? If you, and try to explain it to me, like, I don't know anything. Can you help me try to understand it on a very, very simple level? Like, why should I consider actually moving here?
It's a good question, because we sort of live and breathe this every single day. We think everyone knows the same information that we sort of obtain on a daily basis. Obviously, that's not the case. I don't want to sit here and sell it. I would suggest coming here. I would suggest spend a week with us, and you'll see it for yourself. You'll feel it, you'll touch it, and you'll realize very quickly, how we feel is how we believe our clients come over and feel very quickly. You might like something completely different. But I'm going to give you my honest opinion when you're here. And I'm sure Lasse, I want to say something a little bit about Lasse as well. Lasse is the most amazing guy to work with. He has the most attention to detail I've ever seen out of any human being. And most importantly for me, Lasse's such a good guy, such a good person. He cares more about you than he does himself. And out of everyone I've ever met in the UAE, especially in this industry, I don't think there's a nicer guy that could show you around and give you his honest opinion. But also the attention to detail is huge. And I think that makes such a difference. When you're working with someone and if you want to buy your retirement home, you want someone exactly like that. They're the two things for me. If I was going to buy and I was going to use a broker, I would use someone that's super, high with the attention to detail, and someone that's a good person, that's not too fussed about, earning money from you, the short-term stuff. He's going to be here forever. He wants to be your friend, not your broker. So if you do come here and you want to see things in a different light, this is your guy.
We as a team is all about guidance. We are not selling. Dylan is doing it different than me, and Josh is doing it different than me, but we have a DNA about guidance. If you want it, absolutely no problem. If you don't want, it's all about guidance. And sometimes I also feel like a tour guide, because it is a brand new place where we have to do. So when I've used my 2 years to understand what people want, I'll be some kind of tour guide and put the numbers together. And in the end of the day, it's a stomach feeling. Maybe I'm not selling to them when they buy the first time, but maybe the second time or in 5 years from now. I'm pretty easygoing.
I also give you praise now. It does, but seriously, when you explained like the opportunity to me, because obviously I was skeptical. I'll be 100% honest with you, about Abu Dhabi, because I didn't know anything about it. But the way that you showed me the different islands and the passion, like usually I see people, you have attention to detail, but then they're boring. They're boring. But you have the opportunity to. You are really good at like making it entertaining, and you can see that it's passionate. But like, how do you make sure that you have all these details figured out? Like, how do you, because the numbers that you showed, like I could ask you anything about any island right now and you'd be able to like explain to me what's happening, what's going on.
It's easy for me to say, because it's all about doing as many mistakes as possible. I'm, as mentioned before, I'm 42. I've made so many mistakes in life, but I'm still have that passion about, if I really want something, I'm so passionate about it. And the passionate and about being honest is the answer. I think I'm quite open for, if I do a mistake, I want the feedback. I work with psychologists, I work with people in the army. I'm so curious about people and life. And I just love what I'm doing.
And also one of the things both of you mentioned, that you actually, I see you doing it, make it a bit different than the experience I've had, is like you don't try to sell. You try to guide. And that's also when we spoke about like the high net worth individuals, that when you guide them, they want you to be the expert. They don't want you to sell them. They want you to like invite them into the opportunity, and then you basically just show them the opportunities that you have. Like, how did you reach that point? Obviously you've had experience, but like, how did you reach that point realizing, all right, I don't have to sell these people. These are people that make big decisions. They have money. They are confident in what they're doing. They just want a guide that sees them for who they are.
It's a good question. When I have in mind two of my clients who is very, very wealthy, there is one thing in common. Both of them, I think I make the sale after 30 minutes to both of them. After the first 30 minutes was just about them asking me. And when they asked me about all these, some of the questions was difficult, But when I was approved, I was there. I normally see that for a lot of my clients, they want to, of course, they've done the due diligence, but they want to ask me if they want to kind of invite me into their journey and their life. And if you're going to be approved after 30 or 45 minutes of a conversation, everything is open. Yeah. And of course, I'm very aware about when we talk about UAE property. I'm the head of that. I know exactly what's back and forth. And I'm straight honest to clients. If that is a good buy or even say this is a bad investment, I have so much confidence in myself about what I'm doing.
100%. It was a pleasure to speak to both of you. I really think you've definitely changed my mind on like the opportunities down here. I really see that there's a huge opportunity down there if you want to go like to the right places. And if you know the right people, that's for why we started the Access. Knowing the right people is key. But thank you both of you. Pleasure.
Thanks a lot.